comment says it's just you. It's just going to be you and I tonight. Oh, there we go. You're already out of your lonesome. All right, guys. There's a question up on the board. Give it a go. Make sure you have your book or your piece of paper with you where you've written all your rules. This is just to kind of go over the rules that we've learned so far, and then we're going to move on to parallel lines. And if you don't know where to start, or if you need help, just let me know. So those of you who have just joined, just give this question a try for me. And then once everyone's had a good go, we'll start going through it. And when everyone's on the call, but I'm wanting the values for X, Y, and Z. Remember to always give your reasons, even when we're practicing in these classes together, because if we don't give our reasons when we practice, we're going to forget when we are tested. If you're feeling good with any of your answers, let me know, chat to me, or put it in the chat on the side. Either one is fine. If you're struggling with where to start, I'm gonna just draw in a little helping guide for you there. Lots of different ways you could go about doing this question. I think, nice, well done, Canva. Excellent. And your reason, beautiful. Nice. Keep going. Remember when you're working this out, like Canva's done there, he's put his reason. Make sure you put in your reasons with yours. The more practice you get, the better you'll get, and it'll just start sort of seeping into your mind, and it'll just become stuff you know over time. Okay, I'm going to put Canva's one down so long. Okay. What's my reason, Canva? So far we know that y is going to be 30 degrees. Well, let me write it out the longer way for those of you who are struggling to see. So y plus 150 is going to equal 180 because of angles on a straight line. I'm not leaving myself much space, am I? Let me come down here. There we go. Nice. So therefore y is going to be, we're going to move that 150 over. So y is going to be 30 degrees. Now we know that this is 30. And then lots of different things we could do here, but we can see that those two are vertically opposite. So we could say 3z is equal to 30 degrees, vert up angles are equal. And so we're going to divide both sides by 3 here. And we're going to see that Z is equal to 10 degrees. Okay, so far we know that because 3 times 10 is 30. So we know that this is 30 over here. We know that that yellow is 30. Now we just need to find our x's. Okay. So for my x's, you've got 2 different options. Either you could say that this angle is equal to that angle because they're vertically opposite angles. So we could have said 3x, or let's write it the long way for anyone who's struggling. 2x plus x is equal to 150 degrees because of vert op angles being equal, which means 3x is equal to 150, and so x is equal to 50 degrees. That's one way. The other way we could have done is we could have looked at a straight line, and we could have said 2x plus x plus 30, because we've already found out y is 30, is 180 because of angles on a straight line. And then we would have said 3x is equal to 150, so therefore x is equal to 50. So both of those are totally fine. It doesn't matter which one you use. You could have also used this straight line over here, including z. All of those would have been great. Actually, thinking about it, you could have even done all of these angles together and done angles around a point. So any one of those would have been great. But this just summarizes the different rules that we learned last week in our lessons. And today we are going to be moving on to parallel lines. So what I need before we start is in the chat, I need to know if you have done parallel line geometry at school yet. And then let me know how you feel about it. So yes, I hate it, I love it, or no, we haven't done it yet. Okay.
We have done it.
And how did you feel about it?
I don't like it.
So much hatred for some lines. I'm gonna make you love it.
Bad, ma'am. It's not bad.
Okay, good. Okay, so you haven't done geometry yet. That's all right. That means you'll just have a step ahead when you get there in class. Awful. I hate it. Okay. Thank you, Tansy, giving me some hope. Okay, cool. So much hatred for geometry. Okay. All right, we're going to go through it nice and slowly and just make sure that everyone is happy as we go along. You see, you guys didn't like this geometry, and now you're fine with it, and you're getting all the right answers. So I feel hopeful. Okay. So parallel lines. Basically, a parallel line. Lines are parallel if they stay the same distance apart, okay? So it means that they are never, ever, ever going to touch. So if they went on for infinity, they will never, ever touch. There are 2 lines that go on forever and never touch each other, okay? They don't have to be the same length. So like I could have a line that looks like that and a line like that, but they still are equal distance apart. So they're never going to touch each other. Even though they're not the same length, they're still parallel. And when we are saying lines are parallel, we use the symbol of these 2 lines that are straight up together. So if I was looking at this picture here, I'm going to give you an example of one, and then I want you to think of some others. So for example, I could say that those 2 lines are parallel. And when we show lines are parallel on a picture, we use these arrows. Sometimes there's 1 set of arrows and sometimes there's 2. Both of those mean that they are parallel. And if I wanted to write that these two lines are parallel to each other, I would say EF is parallel to GH. So this symbol over here, that means parallel. Okay, can someone else find me another pair of parallel lines in this picture and tell me what they are?
BA, AB, and CD.
A, B, and C, D. Great, thanks guys. Okay, so again, they're never going to touch each other. They're an equal distance apart until we would write that as AB is parallel to CD. Okay, so being able to identify parallel lines, first of all, is important. And now we're going to start playing around with these parallel lines. So when we have parallel lines, when it comes to geometry, we have three main reasons that we work with. And we're going to talk about all three of those reasons. We might not get through all of them today. We might only get through the first two today, but that's okay, because on Wednesday, we're going to carry on with parallel lines. The first one is called corresponding angles. And don't worry about writing this on your page. I'm going to give you time with the full reason just now. Okay, corresponding angles. When something is corresponding, it means that they are in the same place as each other. So if I look here, my parallel lines are AB and CD. And so my corresponding angles would be this angle here. And you see how it's below my parallel line? And so its corresponding angle would be this one here, because that's also below the parallel line. So corresponding, that word, it means that they are in the same position. So either they are both above the parallel line or they are both below the parallel line. But that's what that word means. The second one we're going to look at is called co-interior, but actually this is going to be the third one that we're going to look at. But anyway, co-interior angles. And co-interior angles are the two angles that are inside. So interior means inside. And co is like company. There's like two of them. So here, my one parallel line is AB and my other parallel line is CD. And my co-interior angles would be those two. So the two that are both inside of my parallel lines. And don't panic if you're feeling lost. If you haven't done this in school and this is all new, I promise we're going to spend time on each one of these reasons. This is just like an introduction to the three of them. And then our last one is alternate angles. And so there's my one parallel line and there's my other parallel line. And then we have this transversal line which cuts through them. And it creates these angles that we're wanting to play with. An alternate is when this angle and that angle, so like the two insides of something, that would be an alternate angle. And when we are sort of looking for things here, when we have a corresponding angle, do you see what letter do you see of those? Like, what does that look
F.
like? Yeah, it's an F. Good. Okay. And what letter do you see with this corresponding in my blue? It's a U. Yes. Okay. And what angle do you see with my alternate?
N.
Yes. And there
Z.
you go. You see a Z or an N. Both are fun. So, but when we're thinking of geometry, you see, it's fun. And these are our three reasons that we always have to remember. So although that sounds corny, my kids at school, they still write this on their page at the top of each test, just as like a reminder. They'll write their fun at the top and then they'll do little things to tell them what they should be looking for. And it's just like an easy, like it's almost like a little cheat sheet for yourself to know what you're looking for when you have parallel lines involved, because sometimes they can get a bit confusing. So these are the three that we are going to look into. And we are going to start with the glorious corresponding angles. Okay, so corresponding angles, like we've just spoken about now, that's when we are looking for our F. Okay, so this is what we're thinking of when we're thinking of corresponding angles. And here we have are parallel lines. So this line is parallel to this line. I'm going to tell you one set of corresponding angles, and then I want you to tell me some others. So I can see here that X would be equal to C. So X would be equal to C. Can someone else tell me some other corresponding angles that
D
would
and
be?
Y.
D and Y. Excellent. D and Y. Okay, and another one.
B and W.
Yeah, good. B and W. B and W. So this one will be equal to that one. You see, it doesn't matter that they're not both below because they're both above. And then we have one last one, which would be
A and Z.
A and Z. Yes. Okay. So all of those would be corresponding, which means that they would be equal to each other. Okay. Now, get out your piece of paper or your book, wherever you have been writing your reasons as we go along. We are going to write pretty much all the time things are given. So let's not worry about this at the moment. Let me just get rid of that for the moment because your lines should always be given to you. Okay, so when we have parallel lines, you can choose which one of these you want to draw. You don't have to draw both of them. But here would be our parallel lines. And all we're saying is that this angle here would be that equal to that angle there. That's what this statement here is saying. And our reason is corresponding angles are equal. And we always have to say which lines are parallel. Okay, so get this into that book of yours or your paper, wherever you're keeping your reasons. Add this to your list of reasons, and then we are going to start playing around with this rule. Oh, okay. So what we are currently doing is we've just started parallel lines, and we just putting this new statement and this new reason in our list of reasons that we are keeping with us as we're working through this course. And then we're going to start some questions with it. Okay, let's try some questions. So the first two are really nice and easy. There's nothing stressful about them. It's really just to start learning how things work. If I'm looking at this first question, I see I have a parallel line here. I have a parallel line there. Now I'm trying to create that F that I know is corresponding. And so I can see straight away that these two angles are equal to each other, and I can jump straight to saying X is equal to 110 degrees because corresponding angles are equal. And then I have to say which lines are parallel. So for me, my lines that are parallel are AB is parallel to FG. Okay, so that's how these types of questions should look. So now that I've done that one for you, can you do B for me? Tell me what it's going to equal. And then for the reason, I need to know specifically which lines are going to be parallel to each other in my reason. Okay, so what is x going to equal in this question? Look for your parallel lines. Remember the little arrows tell us what a parallel. Oh. And then tell me what x is going to equal. Good. Okay, x is going to equal 76. Excellent. So I know x is going to equal 76 degrees. And I know because it's an f that it's corresponding. Okay, so corresponding angles are equal. Now I need to know which lines are parallel to which lines. So what am I going to say after that? What is parallel to what?
BC is parallel to EF.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. So what we have is we have our, remember this is your statement and this is your reason. We have everything we need. And the most important thing is we have put which lines are parallel. And if we don't put which lines are parallel, we will get no mark for our reason. So it's really important that we have all of that here. Okay. Now this one is not as straightforward. Now we have to start thinking about the rules that we've already learned in our intersecting lines. Okay, so let's think. We know that this line here is parallel to this line here. So if I drew a line through it, I can see that this angle would be equal to that angle. So if I can figure out what that angle is, then I can figure out what x is. That's my hint to you. Good, x is going to be 86, but it's going to take 2 steps of working. So can I know what my first step is and what my reason would be, and then what my second step is and what that reason would be?
Vertically opposite angles with a
Okay, good. So I could say that angle AHC is equal to 86 degrees because of vertically opposite angles. So now I know that this is 86. And then I can say, therefore, x is equal to 86 degrees because of corresponding angles being equal when AB is parallel to FG. So we have our first step and our reason and our second step and our reason. And now when these are marked, remember every step is important because you get a mark for your statement and a mark for your reason and a mark for your statement and a mark for your reason. So if we don't have all of those steps, we're not going to end up getting the marks that we're looking for. Okay. Now I want you to try this one by yourselves. So for this one, I'm wanting to know what x is and I want to know what y is. And at the moment, remember, all we've learned is corresponding angles. Look for your parallel lines up. Excellent, Canva. That's a great start. Oh, I need to label our parallel lines. I've been naughty. Let me label them quickly. Okay, so like Canva has said here, this x is going to be equal to that 70 because of corresponding angles. So we can say x is equal to 70 degrees. Corresponding angles are equal when GH is parallel to DF. Okay, so now we know that this is 70 degrees. Now I need to figure out what y is. There we go. So now I have to think of the reasons that we learned in our lesson last week. And this is a straight line, and that is a straight line, which means this angle equals that angle because they are vertically opposite from each other. So I can say 2y, good, is equal to 70 degrees. Vert up angles are equal. And then I need to figure out what y is. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And y is going to be 35 degrees. Okay, so we have to kind of start combining things that we've learned in all of our lessons. Now, that's the tough thing with geometry, is that it builds. So every time I see you, I'm going to be teaching you more reasons that you need to learn. Okay, give this one a try for me. Shouldn't be too tricky. Good, good. That's a great way to start. So now we found x. So they are vertically opposite each other. It's our bow tie. So we can say x is 68 degrees because of vert up angles. And so that means we know that this angle here is 68 degrees. Great. So now we've got these two parallel lines. There's our f. It's just the backwards f. This angle equals that angle. So y is going to equal 68 degrees because of corresponding angles being equal when AB is parallel to CE. Great. Okay. Does anyone need to sit on this question any longer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Okay. Let's try and find a tricky one, and then I'll go on to our next reason. Okay, how about, yeah, let's try this one. Can you try C for me? Okay, so for C, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. And then we'll learn our second reason for today. Remember, think of all the reasons we've learned so far to help you with this type of question. Let's have a look. Okay, that's a great start. Okay, so careful for x, this, if it was vertically opposite, that would be, those are my two straight lines. And so this one would be equal to that one. And x isn't on that side of that line. So just be careful with that. Great. Okay, so some of the reasons that are coming in here so far. These two are on a straight line together. So I can say x is equal to 80 degrees because of angles on a straight line. All right. Now I'm going to start looking at my parallel lines. So I know already that this over here is 80. Now this line here is parallel to that line there, which means that this angle is equal to that angle. So y is equal to 100 degrees because of corresponding angles being equal when CD is parallel to FG, which means now I know that this one is 100 degrees. And then for my last one, those two are on a straight line. And so Z is equal to 80 degrees because of angles on a straight line. Okay. And so we literally just go through it step by step. We say, well, what's something I know I can find? We don't panic. That's the most important thing. What's something I know I can find? And then we work our way through it as we go along. Okay. Just needing a little bit more time here, I see. That's okay. Okay. So this is corresponding angles, and we may come back to a few of these before the end of the lesson. But what I'd like us to do, just because it's already 5:30, is I want us to have a look at our next reason. And our next reason is alternate angles. And when we were looking at those original ones that we sort of practiced through, our alternate angles are our Z or our N, however you want to think of it as a letter. Okay, so I'm going to highlight some of my alternate pairs here, and we're going to get going. Or in the first one, I'm going to give you one, and I want you to give me another one. So if I'm looking there, I can see that there's my Z. So I can see that W is equal to D. Can you find another Z in this and tell me which letters would be equal to what? Where would be my other Z? Remember that they have to be part of my parallel line to be a Z.
C and Z.
Beautiful. So there, those are my two parallel lines. C and Z would also be equal because of alternate angles. Okay. In this picture here, angle A and angle E are going to be equal to each other because they are the insides of my Zs. And in our last one, angle A and angle D would be equal to each other. So alternate angles, when we think of alternate angles, we think of an N or we think of a Z, and we look for those inside angles to help us. So again, for this one, this is the reason we're going to write down. I'm going to make it a little bit easier and take some of this away. So don't worry about writing that. It's very similar to our last situation, except instead of corresponding angles, we're looking at a different reason where we're looking at these insides of those Zs. So those two are equal to each other. Our reason is alternate angles. And again, we have to say which lines are parallel to what. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to write this in your reason book or your reason page. Sure, I'm sure I can fit both of these in. There we go. Is that what you were wanting, Tansy? Okay. And so put this into that reason book, and then we're going to try some questions using alternate angles. Okay, I'm just going to give you 1 more minute to get this down, and then we're going to try some examples. Okay, cool. So let's try some questions. I'm going to do the same thing like I did in the last one. I'm going to help you with the first one, and then we're going to try and work from there. So if I'm looking at this first question, the first thing I want to do is I want to try and find my Z or my N. We always have to use our parallel lines as our two main lines, and then we're allowed to take another line to connect them. So here I can see, well, X is going to equal 45 because, and then my reason that I'm going to write is alt angles, and you can say equals. So some of your teachers may have said to write an equals there, but you don't have to have an equals if you don't want to, but do what your teacher said at school. And then AB is parallel to CD. And that's all we would have to write. So we're just going to write what it is and what our reason is. And from there, I would like you to give B a try for me. So for B, you're going to have 2 lines. So think about what would be equal to what, and then where we need to go from there. Well done, Alwazi. So if we're having a look at this, we can see that there's our parallel line and there's our parallel line. And so those two are going to connect each other. So I can say, well, 2y is equal to 34 degrees because of alternate angles when AB is parallel to CD. And I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So therefore, y is equal to 17 degrees. Great. Good. Okay. I know I'm being a bit nasty, but I want you to give this one a try. You're going to need both of the things that we have learned for this one. That's my hint to you. So at the moment, you've only learned an F and you've learned a Z. Okay. So Canva has an answer for X. Let's see if he's right. If we're having a look here, we've got one parallel line and we've got another parallel line and we're connecting it, and that creates our Z for us. And so X is definitely going to be 71 degrees. And our reason for that is going to be alt angles because EC is parallel to FD. Excellent. I'm very happy with that. So X is definitely going to be 71 degrees. Okay, now we just need to find Y. If you can't find a Z, think, well, maybe there's an F that we could find. Daphne, you fell right for my trap. It's not a Z. Also, Canva, you also fell for my trap. You just walked straight into it. Not 41, not 68.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I think I have the answer.
Oh, I'm excited.
Is it 139?
It is definitely 139. Can you tell me why?
Ma'am, I used the interior angles of a triangle. I couldn't figure it out.
Oh, you went the long way around. But you know what? I'm still proud that you got an answer. That's great. But let's have a look. Let's have a look at the quick way, because the only reason I'm saying the quick way is because we haven't done triangles yet. Otherwise, what you would have done is beautiful. Okay, so here's a parallel line, and here's a parallel line, and that creates an F, which means this angle here is this angle here, and that is 139. So y is going to equal 71 plus 68 because of corresponding angles when EC is, oh goodness, parallel to FD, and so therefore y is equal to 139 degrees. Okay, so it was just a corresponding angle question. It was just being a little sneaky sneak. Okay, let's try another one. You know how I love my equation questions. So for this one, I'm just looking for what my angle X is going to be. For those of you who are feeling a little bit bewildered by this question, to Z, to think about that, and then think about how we would write that equation from there.
Ma'am, is X equal to 10?
X is definitely equal to 10. Well done, Kamba. And Chelsea, thank you. Okay, so what we would say is 4x minus 10 is equal to 2x plus 10 because alternate angles when AB is parallel to C. Okay, then we have a normal equation. So we're going to move the x's onto one side and our numbers onto the other side. So we have 4x minus 2x is equal to 10 plus 10. So 2x is equal to 20, which means x is equal to 10. Okay. All right, good. I hope you're finding these nice and easy. Does anyone need to sit here? Okay, that's okay.
Yes, please, ma'am.
Sure. Okay. All right. That one's too easy for you. Let's go to how yucky can I go? Let's do D. It's not actually yucky at all. Let's do C and D. Okay. So for C and D, I'm looking for M, N, A, and B. Let's see what that brings us. So remember, some of these may be corresponding, some of these may be alternates. Those are the two reasons we've learned so far.
Ma'am, is N equal to 115
It
to
absolutely
3?
is. Because of? What's my reason?
Vertically opposite angle.
Well done. Good. So M is equal to 115 degrees. Vertically opposite angles are equal. Good. That is right. N is definitely 115. Can you tell me your reason for that? So N is 115. What's my reason? The two different reasons you could use. Corresponding. Okay, so if I used corresponding, it's because I'm looking at this F here, so that angle is equal to that one. And then I'd say corresponding angles when CD is parallel to GH. You could have also said, because now you know what M is, you could have also said that this is alternate. So you could have said that N is 115 degrees because of alternate angles, but with the same lines being parallel. Both of those would have been absolutely fine because that angle would have equaled that angle. Nice. Okay. All right. D.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
is A equals to 71 degrees?
What's my reason?
Ma'am, I didn't get the reason.
Oh my goodness, that's half of it. What letter does it look like?
The N
It looks like the N. And what is the N? Which one is that?
corresponding
That's F.
vertical.
No.
Oh, it's alternate.
It's alternate. There we go. Don't worry, it just takes time. Okay, so A is 71 degrees because of alternate angles when AB is parallel to FD. So now I know that that is 71 degrees. Good. B is 52. Also because of alternate angles, but now our parallel lines are FD and EH. Good. Don't worry, I'm not zooming up for anyone who's panicking. What I want us to do is, I know we've written like our long list of all of our reasons and things, but what we're going to do is create like a little cheat sheet for ourselves. So something that we can scan at, and it's like something easy for us to, if we were in a test situation, we could quickly write this at the top of our page and we would know what's going on. Okay, so first one is we're going to draw a little X and we're going to have two dots like that. And we're just going to say to ourselves, vert up. Okay. Then we're going to draw a line and we're going to say straight line. Let's say 180 here equals 180. And for vert up, let's say vert up angles are equal. Then we've also learned that angles around a point, so around a point, equals 360 degrees. And now we have learned when we have parallel lines, if it's an F, then that's corresponding. And if it is a, what color have I not used yet? Green. If it is a, yes, hello.
I didn't hear nicely. What did you write for 360? Is it
Round a point. So yeah. So just RD, round a point. So round a point. And then our Z, if you can't see your Z in what I've drawn, that would be your Z there. That's Z is alternate.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
do you think that the teachers will allow it if, like, before you attempt the questions, you write all this down?
Absolutely, as long as you're not bringing it into a test, because then it's cheating. But like when you start your test, if you just quickly wrote this at the top of your page, you're not doing anything wrong, and it's just there to help you as you go through. Because sometimes what happens in a maths test is like you get a question and you get flustered because you can't figure out the answer. But if you wrote this right in the beginning when you're nice and calm, it just helps you when you hit a panic mode.
Okay.
Just make sure your teacher knows that the page is blank before the test, so they don't think you've brought it in. Okay, so this is where we're at so far. These are the ones that we have done so far. We've done vertically opposite, we've done straight line, we've done rounded point, we've done corresponding angles, we've done alternate angles. I'm going to give you one easy question to end off on tonight. Yeah, sure, I'll give you a little bit more time to write this down. And then we'll do one last easy question for the evening so that we can all end on a nice happy note. Okay. One last easy question for the night, and then I will pass you on to Tula. So let's do B. So for B, I want X and I want Y. And then you are free from me for your Monday evening.
X is 58, a corresponding angle, and
Corresponding angles. Is that an F?
uh, X is yes, ma'am.
It's a Z. Okay, so X is definitely 58 though. You were definitely right about that. So X is 58 degrees. Because of, oh, now I'm writing the wrong thing, alternate angles, because it's our Z. So AB is parallel to GF. So now I know that this is 58 degrees. Now I just need to know what Y is. So those of you who are seeing corresponding angles, if I had corresponding angles, then this here would be 58. And then I would have to say X is 58 because of vertically opposites. But if we're just using the Z that we found here, so if we're using this Z, then that would be alternate. Okay, now I just am looking for my Y. What's my Y going to be?
Ma'am, is Y equal to 122?
It absolutely is. Can you tell me my reason?
I think because of angles on a straight line.
Yes, well done. Angles on a straight line. Absolutely good. And then this will be 122. Beautiful. Nice job, guys. Okay, I'm passing you on to Tula. Well done for tonight. Well done for coming. I'm proud of you as always, my little geniuses. And I will see you again on Wednesday. And we're going to carry on this journey of parallel lines on Wednesday. Okay.
Hello, grade nines. I'm seeing a lot. Wait, Uzi, do you have your hand up or is that an old hand? I'm seeing your hand is up. Okay, it's an old hand, I take it. Thank you very much, Miss G. I'm seeing a lot of new names, which is always wonderful. My name is Tula. I'm a mentor with Watobi Maths. I'm not a teacher. But you would have already met, I think, your mentor by this point. So I'm just going to do a quick presentation, and we don't have our leaderboard today, so it should be a quick one. Just 1 second as I do this. And also, I just wanted to ask, actually, before I move on to, let me unshare. Before I move on to this, we just wanted to find out, because right now it's moving on to examinations, people have revision. Do you guys think that a lot of your other friends, if you guys know other people, maybe from your school, maybe from your friends, would find these kind of lessons useful? Because our thinking is that if you think this is useful and it's helping you to come here and learn with all these learners, do you think that other learners would find it useful? Because we're just trying to find out so we can maybe at another time give you guys a link so your friends can be able to join these lessons as well. So just send it on the chat. Maybe you can say yes. I'm saying thank you, Canva. Thank you, Nogobonga. Yeah, just definitely put that out there so that we see if it's valuable for us to give you guys a link, maybe to forward to your friends. And then the bigger the class, the better. Okay, you can just keep the answers coming. Let me just share again. All right, here we go. Cool. So, yeah, we're going to move on to lesson 4 next week, and we're still continuing with parallel lines. Is that correct, Lee? Yes, we are. We're continuing with parallel lines, not next week, on Wednesday. Remember, you have classes on Mondays and Wednesdays. I'm just repeating all of this for the new learners. I'm seeing a lot of new names. I just want to make sure everyone is on the same page. If you ever lost about the times or you forgot the time or the day, just always go to your Watobi app on the chat. There's a lot of notifications there, messages from the mentors, from the teachers, every information, everything you need is there. And if you never get, even if you can't find any information, you can always reach out to your mentor, and they'll always just give you an answer wherever you lost. So yeah, we have quite a few lessons to go. So make sure you come back the next few weeks for all of these. Yeah, and then remember that we also have the app as a way to sort of supplement what you learn here. Instead of you just learning here and then coming back on Wednesday, we want you to learn and then go back home and do some exercises to like solidify your learning, to practice, to just, you know, make sure that you understand everything that we're teaching you here. So for this particular lesson, your homework is to go to your Watobi app and then pick a topic, click on pick a topic, go to geometry of straight lines. And then when you open geometry of straight lines, scroll down to where it says parallel lines. And then under there, you will find equations with parallel lines. So make sure that you go in there, you do the quizzes and the lessons. But in addition to that, also just revise, do the revised parallel lines quiz. And yeah, just make sure you do wherever, if you open a thing, for example, parallel lines, the topic, and there's a quiz under there, make sure you just always do it just to make sure you understand. And if maybe you do badly, you can always go back to it again and again to see if you are improving on your knowledge. So yeah, I think that's it. Okay. I think that's it from me. If Ms. G doesn't have anything to add, I think we can let you guys go. Thank you very much for attending this lesson. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Make sure you do the homework. Goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your evening. See you guys on Wednesday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.